What up, guys? Carolina Jackpot time coming at you. It is August 13th, 2022. And the best Gamecocks YouTuber and content creator on the internet is back at you with another video. And it's a special one this time. It's the one that rolls around once a year. The world-famous Carolina Jackpot South Carolina Gamecocks pick and prediction video for the upcoming season, 2022. We are going to talk offense, we're going to talk defense, we're going to talk coaching, and we're going to talk special teams, and then we are going to break down the 12-game slate, 8 of them in the Southeastern Conference, and pick a winner and a loser for each one of those games, and a final regular season record for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Before we go to any of that, though, I want you to make sure you hit this video with a thumbs up and subscribe to the Carolina Jackpot channel if you are not subscribed already. I assure you that you will enjoy the content that comes out here all season long. We do picks against the spread. We do live streams for the games. We even do a live show 2 nights a week. So we have a lot of fun here, and I want you all to make sure that you're going to be a part of that this upcoming season. So, in 2021, the Gamecocks ended up 7-6 after a bowl win in the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl against the North Carolina Tar Heels, 38-21. I think they exceeded Shane Beamer expectations for year number 1. Well, not Shane Beamer's expectations. They exceeded the fans' expectations and everybody's expectations of what Shane Beamer was going to do in 2021 with this team. I think the over-under win total in the summer of last year was like maybe 3 wins. So South Carolina more than doubled that. Getting some nice home wins against Auburn and Florida while kind of losing a head-scratching game on the road at Mizzou, a team that wasn't very good, and also getting blown out by Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Clemson in very disappointing performances. So, record-wise, it ended up being a good year. Performance-wise, it was kind of a mixed bag. It really was. If you want to look at it from a glass half-empty perspective, which I tend to do sometimes, just because I have been through years and years of disappointment with South Carolina football, with various coaches, various staffs, various expectations, and the results never seem to come quite up to my liking. This year, is it going to be different? We'll see. Beamer, 20 years in, right, as an assistant coach, a recruiting coordinator, various positions on offense that he was coach for quite a few really good head coaches in the past there. Philip Fulmer, Sylvester Croom, his dad, Frank Beamer, Kirby Smart, and Lincoln Riley, to name a few. There was a couple more in there as well. George O'Leary, coached Georgia Tech at one time. So the guy has been around. He's formed a lot of relationships, and I think that's done nothing but help him transition into this head coaching role. Everybody was kind of down on him because you've never been a coordinator. You've never been a coordinator. And to that point, I was down on it too. I was down on it too at one point in time. But then you got to kind of look at the bigger picture. And, no, he hadn't been grinding as a coordinator, but he's been grinding on the recruiting trail. He's been grinding as an assistant coach. He's been grinding, forming relationships and learning. And he's done a great job so far. In my opinion, and the opinion of quite a few other Gamecock fans. Looking at this team's recruiting the past few years, of course, in 2020, team finished up number 19 in recruiting. That was actually the last official Will Muschamp class. In 2021, South Carolina ended up number 56. There's a lot of decommitments there after Muschamp was fired, and had to head to the transfer portal to supplant a lot of the attrition from that particular class that never even signed. In 2022, nice rebound by Shane Beamer, finished up number 24 in recruiting. And right now, South Carolina is currently ranked number 19 in recruiting. Just lost a commitment the other day that flipped to the Florida Gators, which was not a surprise. Good luck to you. The team returns 9 starters on the offensive side of the ball. Only 5 guys return on defense as starters, but many of those guys have got a lot of significant playing time there. Another thing that is a huge positive in 2021, injuries were significantly down from what they had been under the Will Muschamp coach teams. I'm not really sure how down they were. There is no official stat that I've seen on the number of games missed to injury, but it's a lot less than what we were seeing under Muschamp and his staff. So big shout out there to Luke Day and the strength and conditioning staff. They're doing something right. The quarterback position, we'll start talking about that one first. Last year was an absolute mess. 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions between three quarterbacks there. Luke Doty, Jason Brown, and one Zeb Nolan. Zeb Nolan was 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. So that kind of shows you how bad the other two really were. Of course, Jason Brown is gone. He is a grad transfer now at Virginia Tech. Luke Doty, still around. He was injured much of last year. Foot was stepped on, ankle, foot, something was stepped on the very first day of camp last year. And they tried to play him in a few games, just didn't look real good. He finally was taken out there towards the end of the Vanderbilt game with South Carolina losing, and he never really saw much more significant playing time after that the rest of the year. He had some surgery, and hopefully that foot is now healed. In comes Spencer Rattler, okay? Comes in December from the transfer portal, transfers in from Oklahoma. Last year, Spencer, 11 touchdown passes to 5 interceptions, 1,483 yards, and a 75% completion percentage. For his career, he's got right at a 70% completion percentage and 4,600 yards, 40 TDs, and only 12 interceptions. His best season was in 2020. The COVID year, he led the Sooners to a 9-2 finish. After a 1-2 start, they did win the Big 12 and then went on to destroy Florida 55-20 in the Cotton Bowl. He was the #1 quarterback taken. Well, he was the #1 quarterback. I'm talking like it's NFL draft. #1 quarterback in the 2019 class out of Phoenix, Arizona. Pro-style quarterback. Here's the thing. Has he matured from what he was at Oklahoma? He got a little bit upset at Oklahoma when he got benched. He kind of blamed his offensive line on a lot of the shortcomings that the team was experiencing offensively. And that's not the kind of stuff you do publicly. Has he matured since then? According to Shane Beamer, he has. He's very grounded, is his terminology I believe he used. Is he going to be rusty? I don't think so. I don't think so. He didn't play a lot second half last year. You know, he was benched. Probably not. Probably not. And from what I've seen, he looks pretty good in fall camp. And how is he going to gel with his new team? And from all reports that I've heard, he's gelling really well with them and has been nothing more than an excellent teammate and an excellent leader. That's what we've got to have. South Carolina... It feels like we're hinging all of our hopes on one guy and how one guy performs. That's really not what you need, but at this point, that's where we're at. You know, it's going to take a few years to develop the kind of depth we need to wash the Will Muschamp stench off that program. And to Shane Beamer's credit, he has been busting his ass to fill holes and do whatever he needs to do to get the right people in place while that gap is bridged. And I have no doubt in my mind that that gap is going to be bridged. Does it get bridged this year? I don't think so. But I do believe that Spencer Rattler has probably matured. All these people, you know, in these comment sections in Facebook, Twitter, and all these social media platforms say, he's a big baby, he's a big bitch, he cries all the time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I mean, the guy's like 19, 20 years old, okay? You don't think people can mature? Did you not mature from the time you were 19 or 20 until the time you were like 22 or 23? I'm sure you did. No different with this guy. No different than this guy. He deserves the benefit of the doubt. He deserves the benefit of the doubt. He's got to prove us wrong before we automatically prove him wrong, is what I'm trying to tell you. Very talented. He's backed up by, of course, Luke Doty, Colton Gauthier, Braden Davis is a kid from Connecticut, very highly recruited, and another young kid there that transferred in from, he was an Oregon commit there, Tanner Bailey. Some of these kids may see some time this year. I don't really know. I've said in one of the threads that I didn't think Luke Doty was an SEC caliber quarterback, and I still feel that way. And if you don't like me for saying so, I'm sorry. I don't believe he is. I think he's an SEC caliber athlete. I'm not saying he doesn't have an SEC level heart. I'm not saying that he's not a good kid. I just don't think that he's going to be the quarterback, healthy or not healthy, to take the team to the next level. And that's just Carolina Jackpot's feeling on it. You can feel free to comment on that if you would like to. The running back position, South Carolina is going to be pretty deep here, although really not as experienced, at least in Gamecock gameplay, that we would like to be. Marshawn Lloyd, who was hurt in 2020, a very highly recruited young man out of Maryland. Last year, 228 yards and 1 touchdown. Seems like Marshawn carried for more yards than that, but apparently he didn't. To me, he didn't look real healthy last year. He looked kind of gingery. He had some decent runs. He had a nice run there against Florida, and I think he'll be fully healthy this year. Really excited to see what Marshawn will do. Is he the #1 running back in the rotation? I don't know. We have Juju Mcdowell right behind him. 248 yards last year and 2 touchdowns. Small, quick little guy, Swiss Army knife-like type player out of Leesburg, Georgia. He really burst on the scene last year and did some really nice things for us. I would have thought he had more yards than that as well. It seemed like he kind of disappeared for a little while too. It's kind of strange to me. And then when you bring in Christian Beal Smith from Wake Forest, this guy was with the Wake Forest program since 2018. 1,800 career yards, 14 touchdowns. Last year, 604 yards and 7 touchdowns. He brings in a little taste of success, doesn't he? He brings in a little taste of success, and that's kind of, it's kind of weird to say, somebody coming from Wake Forest, but they've had more football success than we have in the recent past. He's played in the ACC championship game. He brings in maturity to the locker room, and I think that guy is going to be nothing but a positive for South Carolina. I kind of look for him to get the starting role early, and then maybe Marshawn Lloyd takes over it, maybe some point during the season if he's playing well. We'll have to see. They also bring in Georgia transfer Lavissa Carroll, who is a freshman, and this young man was committed to the Gamecocks at one time. He decommitted. He was at Georgia last year as a defensive back. Didn't play at all or a lot, maybe one series against Charleston Southern or something. So he's going to add some depth to that running back room as well, and will be someone that gets developed for the future. Wide receiver and tight end, the team appears to be in pretty good shape. Josh Vann comes back for his 5th year, 679 yards last year, 5 touchdown catches. He kind of disappeared for a little bit too, in the middle of the season. It seemed like he kind of wasn't doing a whole heck of a lot, but I was glad to see Josh break onto the scene last year and really play like we'd wanted to see him play ever since he'd been at South Carolina. We add in Jaheim Bell at tight end, kind of a hybrid type player, 497 yards receiving last year. Really showed out in the bowl game against North Carolina. Another tight end here is Austin Stogner from Oklahoma, transfer in. Career 600 receiving yards, about 8 touchdown passes. He's got some good hands. He's a all Big 12 type player, also a good blocking tight end. Going to be watching out for Antoine Juice Wells, a guy who transferred over from James Madison. He was a second-team FCS All-American at James Madison, 1,250 yards and 15 touchdown catches. Also, Corey Rucker, 826 yards and 9 touchdown catches. He was a transfer in from Arkansas State. He was second-team All-Sun Belt. Miriam Brown and Xavier Legetter, some more guys who've been here for a while. So that wide receiver room looks to be pretty talented. But once again, you're kind of bringing in a hodgepodge of guys. Are they going to mesh well together? I mean, they can mesh well together in the summer. They can mesh well together in the spring and in fall camp. Are they going to be able to do it on Saturdays? That is the huge question there. No doubt some talented players on that side of the ball for Spencer Rattler to throw the ball to. The offensive line, to me, is the biggest concern. huge disappointment last year. In 2021, we gave up 31 sacks, right? And only averaged 136 yards on the ground. That's down 30 yards from what we did in 2020. Not good at all. Bringing in Coach Greg Atkins from Marshall to coach the offensive line last year, who at Marshall in 2020 led the country in rushing yardage. So I really don't know what happened there. Is it a scheme thing? I don't think so. I think that these offensive line schemes cannot be that different from one school to the next. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. So we'll see this year. I think a good performance this year is what Coach Atkins' job will probably hinge on for the 2023 season. I don't know if he's going to be retained if these guys don't perform this year. But we bring back 4 starters, or all 5 starters, excuse me, the career 129 starts. There's some depth there. They get Dylan Wanham back, who was injured much of last year. This, along with your quarterback position, this is going to make or break the season for South Carolina, especially on the offensive side of the football. It really is. I cannot help but think this unit's got to be better than it was in 2021. Defensively, on the defensive line, you lost 3 starters from last year. Kingsley J.J. Enigbare, Jabari Ellis, and Aaron Sterling. But you still got a lot of talent and a lot of experience up there. It's time for defensive end Jordan Burch to start showing us why he was a 5-star coming out of high school. Defensive tackle Zach Pickens has been really solid, especially last year. Alex Huntley, also in the mix for a starting position there with Gamecocks. He's from the same school as Jordan Burch, Hammond, in Columbia, South Carolina. And everyone would probably argue, he'd probably be right, that Alex Huntley's done more while he's been at South Carolina than Jordan Burch did. Jordan Strong led the FBS in sacks in 2020. This is a guy that transferred in from Georgia State. He only had 3 last year. Now, going up against these SEC offensive lines, that's, to be expected. But we need to see some more production from him in 2022 as well. This is the key here. South Carolina's got to stop the run. They gave up 175 yards last year, a game on the ground, and only recorded 26 sacks. 6 of those sacks were versus the Tennessee Vols. So in 11 games, you only have 20 sacks. That's less than 1 a game. Not good. Also, watch out for Terrell Dawkins from North Carolina State. He's a guy that picked up out of the transfer portal that can play on the defensive line. He's been injured a lot of his career. Interested to see what he can do. Linebacker's kind of a question mark for me. South Carolina generally only runs with 2 linebackers. Brad Johnson is the second leading tackler on the team. This guy's been around since Moses loaded the animals and stuff up on the ark. He was there along with Sherrod Green last year. The starter, Sherrod Green, got hurt after 3 games and missed the rest of the season. Mohamed Kaba is another young player who we heard his name mentioned a lot last year. We're expecting to see some good things for him. Depth here is still a concern. Stone Blanton is a kid who's a freshman that'll be coming in and may make an immediate impact for South Carolina. But look for Mr. Kaba to maybe end up starting at linebacker before the season is over with. Brad Johnson, would really like to see him put it all together this year and have a huge season, as well as Sherrod Green. Both these guys have been around for a while, veteran players, and would like to see them perform really, really well this year. Defensive backs. Cam Smith led the SEC last year with 11 pass breakups. He's an all-SEC preseason pick. Marcellus Dial and Darius Rush are some experienced players in the backfield who also have a lot of pass breakups last year. At the safety position, South Carolina's a little bit thin. R.J. Roderick, who had 64 tackles last year, will be starting at safety along with Devontae Reed. This guy's a graduate transfer coming in from Central Michigan. Had 73 tackles last year for the Chippewas and 2 interceptions, and he was second team All-MAC. So nothing but good stuff there. Really impressed with the defensive side of the football last year. Clayton White did an exceptional job. That was thought to be a real weakness going into the season, and it turned out to be a real strength, especially the secondary. The defensive line and linebackers was kind of questionable last year. Defensive line really didn't live up to billing and gave up way too many rushing yards, and that was a huge Achilles heel we have got to get past in 2022 if we're going to be successful. At place kicker, I think South Carolina will be okay. Mitch Jeter, who is a junior, looks to be the man to take over for Parker White, who was absolutely sensational his entire time at South Carolina. Great job that he did for us. This guy hit a long field goal in the spring game, and it looks like he's probably won the starting job. He'll be kicking off, too. He's kicked off and stuff some in the past. Kai Kroger will be doing the punting. Now, he's hurt right now, not really going through the fall count stuff, but he'll be fine. And he had a 40-yard average back in 2021. Good job there, flipping the field for the Gamecocks. The special teams looks like it's going to be a strength. Once again, Beamer Ball, right? Beamer Ball, Coach Pete Limbo, putting in work as the special teams coach. Really like him, and I think he does an outstanding job for South Carolina. Juju McDowell, the little speedster, and Josh Van will be the guys who will be returning our punts and kickoffs for us. All right, so that's the end of part 1 of the video. Now it's time to go on ahead. We're going to throw the schedule up there, and we're going to talk about these 12 games and what we're going to win and what we're going to lose. Throwing up the schedule there, and South Carolina starts off the season on September 3rd against the Georgia State Panthers. This is our first meeting with them. They are picked to finish 4th in a really stacked Sun Belt East that includes Coastal Carolina, App State, and Marshall now, who's joined the Sun Belt Conference. They were 8-5 last year under Sean Elliott. Kind of started out slow, but, you know, they've given some SEC teams fits in the past, beating Tennessee, come very close to beating Auburn last year. But they were also blown out 59-17 by North Carolina early in the season. Sean Elliott is a guy who was the interim coach at South Carolina in 2015 after Steve Spurrier quit on us. You know, offensive line coach. I mean, he's a high-strung, high-energy dude. And I do think he'll be coming in here maybe with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I think Sean Elliott wanted the job at South Carolina. And looking back, you know, what's the term there? Hindsight's 20/20. He would have been a better hire than Will Muschamp. You know, couldn't have been any worse. Jamias Williams, former Gamecock, is in the backfield for Georgia State. This isn't going to be a tone setter. South Carolina needs to go out and get a convincing win over this team. Do I think that they do it? I think we win this game and go 1-0. I don't think it's going to be quite as convincing as what most would like. I think we may be seeing something in like the 31-17 range, something like that. Maybe a game that's maybe a little bit too close for comfort, maybe midway into the third quarter. But I think South Carolina's offense gets on track here and gets the victory in this home opener. September 10th, we go on the road to Arkansas. Arkansas is a solid team. Sam Pittman's done an amazing job there with a turnaround of a team that was just, it was basically, the program was dead almost under Chad Morris and what is his name, Brett Bielema. They absolutely just ran the thing into the ground. KJ Jefferson returns at quarterback. Rocket Sanders is a guy at running back who's going to do some really nice things there for them. This is going to end up being a ground and pound type team. 4 starters returning on the offensive line. Defense, going to be a little bit weak there. They lose a lot of starting production, but they do return Bumper Poole at linebacker, 125 tackles last year. This being a road game, I'm going to have to call this a loss. I think South Carolina will have a tough time stopping the run, and I think that a team much like Texas A&M just kind of overpowers them a little bit. In the end, I think we dropped to 1-1 after a road loss to Arkansas. September 17th, we're at home again against our old nemesis, the Georgia Bulldogs. Defending national champions is going to have to rely on offensive production a little bit more in 2022. to win games. Now, not that they had a offense last year that couldn't put up some points, and they won a lot of games by margin. That defense last year was absolutely unreal. You only returned 3 starters on it this year, but the recruiting there the past few years under Kirby has just been so solid, man. It's just been absolutely insane. And there's a reason why this team in all the preseason polls is not really expected to have much of a drop-off. I think they're going to be very, very good again this year. And barring any unforeseen circumstances, I expect them to win the SEC East. Maybe South Carolina keeps this one close for a while. Maybe we keep it close into the fourth quarter. But in the end, I just don't see us being able to pull this one out. I think we catch another L here against Georgia, and we fall to 1-2, and 1/4 of our schedule is gone. September 24th, we're back at home against Charlotte, a team that was 5-7 last year under Coach Will Healy in Conference USA. Kind of got blown out several times down the stretch last year. They do return their quarterback, Chris Reynolds, who seems like he's been at Charlotte for quite a while, along with 2 running backs who combined for about 1,200 yards. I don't know if that's exactly great, but there's no reason why South Carolina should be playing a close game against Charlotte. I do feel that of the 2 kind of non-Power 5 FBS teams that South Carolina plays this year, Charlotte is definitely plays second fiddle to Georgia State. Gamecocks win this game anywhere between 17 to 24, 28 points. I think it's fairly easy after halftime. On October 1st, South Carolina takes on South Carolina State. We're going to call that one a win without really looking at it a lot. South Carolina State was 7-5 last year. They did knock off Coach Prime's Jackson State Tigers. I guess that was their biggest victory of the year. South Carolina, no trouble with South Carolina State. And then we're back in the positive on the win column with a 3-2 record. October 8th, and this is the one that I've been calling this the most important game of the year. Huge tone setter for the Gamecocks on the road at Kentucky. We've lost our last 4 in Lexington. We've also lost 7 out of our last 8 in the series. It's hard to imagine. It really is hard to imagine looking back at how South Carolina used. Every year that schedule would roll out. You'd see Vanderbilt win. You'd say Kentucky win. It's not like that anymore. Has not been that way in a long time. I feel that Kentucky is overhyped this year, and there are going to be Kentucky fans who are going to disagree with me. That's fine. You can disagree with me if you'd like to. But the fact is that the numbers bear that out. They have a lot of losses defensively, especially in the defensive backfield. I think they're going to take a step back this year. I think people tend to pigeonhole Kentucky now, the past couple of years, into being a 9-10 win team based solely off Mark Stoops' reputation as a coach, and that's fine, but he has had some significant losses there defensively. Will Levis is an excellent quarterback, but I'm wondering who he's going to throw the ball to. And Kentucky fans will go in the comment section too and tell me about all the great receiving talent they have, and they may have it. They may well have it. It may well just be young. I mean, if I were not a South Carolina fan, I'd be looking at them and wondering, well, who's Spencer Rattler going to throw the ball to? Because I don't know who Juice Wells is, because I don't know who Josh Vann is. Same thing here with Kentucky. I don't know any of these people that Will Levis is going to be throwing the ball to. Their big-time receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, the transfer from Nebraska, who set the school record for touchdown catches and yards last year, is gone. So there's definitely going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. I think South Carolina goes on the road and gets this win. I think Spencer Rattler plays well on the old fake grass in Lexington. I think that the crowd there at Kroger Field is going to be fired up. I think Kentucky's going to have a pretty good record going in this game. They play a bunch of MAC teams before they come to play the Gamecocks. They do play Florida in game 2. That one, I'm not so sure how it's going to work out. I picked it as a loss for Kentucky just because I think Florida's going to lose to Utah in week 1. I think they're going to come back and beat Kentucky week 2. We'll see, but I do think South Carolina gets the win here on the road against Kentucky. Wins in Lexington for the first time since 2012 and improves to 4-2 in what's going to be a really good game. That'll be a really good game. It'll be South Carolina bending against the offense that features Chris Rodriguez running the football, but not quite breaking, and Spencer Rattler doing just enough to get South Carolina the victory. South Carolina's off. No, excuse me. Yes, South Carolina is off the next week. And then we play Texas A&M. The only thing about that I don't really like is Texas A&M gets a bye week before they play South Carolina also. So that kind of nullifies that advantage a little bit, I guess. This is going to be, like I said, a lot like the Arkansas game. Nothing the last 2 years South Carolina has shown me tells me they're going to be able to beat Texas A&M. We haven't even looked remotely like we should be on the same field as Texas A&M the past 2 years, and those are just facts. It had been absolutely horrible. I've gotten the ball ran down our throats. We have not been able to stop anything, and have not been able to hardly muster any offense at all. It's been sad. Texas A&M's got 4 years of really, really good recruiting. I think South Carolina's a little bit behind Texas A&M on the curve right now. I really do. They got upset several times last year. If you want to look back at it, they ended up 8-4, but they were better than their record indicated that they were. They had some close losses there that should have went the other way. I think South Carolina plays a lot better in this game than we have against Texas A&M in the past couple of years, but I still think we catch a loss at home. This one puts me maybe in the mind of like the 2018 game. We lost 26-23. You remember that was the game where Jake Bentley slammed his helmet on the seating over there on the sidelines and tried to fire the team. He really got kind of agitated a little bit. That's the kind of game I expect this one to be. I expect us to drop it, and we fall to 4-3 on the season. Missouri, old Mizzou. South Carolina's lost 3 in a row to this team and should not have lost those games. We don't have any business losing games to Missouri, not at a large clip like that. When South Carolina is good offensively, we tend to blow Missouri out. See back to 2017 with Debo Samuel and crew. See back to 2018, which wasn't with not with Jake Bentley, because he didn't play in that game, but Debo Samuel and the boys, Brian Edwards and all that. South Carolina blew Missouri out of the water. Well, we won that game. We didn't blow them out. Anyway, South Carolina, when we have a good offense, we do really well against Missouri, and that sounds kind of cliche and dumb, but it's true. If we're not good offensively, we seem to really have a problem stopping them, and that's exactly what happened last year. It was horrible. South Carolina, in my opinion, was a better team than Mizzou last year. Defensively, Missouri last year was a joke. And, of course, they were giving up 434 yards a game. That was the average after 12 games, 434 yards. Of course, the Gamecocks, they only gave up 250 yards because we were anemic on offense last year. Missouri's got question marks at quarterback. They got question marks at running back. They do bring in 5-star wide receiver Luther Burden. But, you know, come on, man. A true freshman is not used to coming on campus and being the big swinging ding-a-ling right away. But he's going to have to. Mookie Cooper, also a guy that transferred from Ohio State, is over there on the outside from Mizzou, as well as Tosky Dove. I just have a problem with who is going to throw him the football and who's going to run the rock. I don't know. Eli Drinkowitz is a good offensive mind. I'm sure he'll get it figured out, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to beat the Gamecocks. I'm giving us the win here at home, and we go 5-3 on the season. Next game, we've won 13 in a row against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Can we make it 14? On the road the next week, Carolina Jackpot says yes, we can. Vanderbilt is slowly improving. 7 returning starters on both sides of the ball this year. They haven't won an SEC game since 2019. I mean, I do think that you know, they're going to beat an SEC team this year. I think they're going to upset somebody. I just don't know who. I'm not sure it's going to be Mizzou. I surely hope it's not the Gamecocks. And it may not even be this year. I don't know. But they do return a lot of returning rushing production. My problem with them, looking at their defense, they only had 9 sacks last year. 9. And that's really, really bad. 2 of them was against the Gamecocks, though. There's that. But, yeah, just not a lot. You know, Vandy is going to sneak up on all of us and surprise the heck out of everybody and win 5 or 6 games one year. And nobody's going to know that it's coming. Nobody. There are going to be absolutely no signs pointing to the fact that, hey, Vanderbilt's going to end up winning 5 or 6 games. It's just going to happen. Just like it's going to be a real Cinderella story when it does. I don't see that happening this year. I think South Carolina's got way too much offensive production for this game to be close this year. You know, don't let this turn into what last year did. Mistakes, turnovers, and let Vanderbilt stay in the game and then let them get ahead, and you damn near lost the thing. Can't let that happen this year. We do get this win, and South Carolina goes 6-3 on the season. It's turning out to be pretty nice. We're bowl eligible after the game against Vanderbilt in early November. Next game, we turn around and go on the road at Florida, coming off of 2 straight wins. Florida's returned 13 starters from a team that went 6-7 last year. And if everybody will remember, they started off pretty good at the beginning of the year. They lost to Kentucky about the 1st of October, and that team just absolutely fell apart. I'm not going to say that they gave up, and I'm not going to say that, you know, that South Carolina wouldn't have beaten them when we played them last year. We beat them 40-17, you know, and I think had Florida been, had they put their heart and soul into that game and played balls out and played to win it, I still think South Carolina would have won that game. That was our night. It might have been a 3-point victory instead of a 23-point victory. Just looked really bad late in the year. In comes Coach Billy Napier from the Sun Belt, Louisiana, Raging Cajuns coach. He runs a run-based offense. That's what he'll do there at Florida, and that is, you know, I think that's more to their strengths. A lot of their question marks lie around and can be answered by, is quarterback Anthony Richardson going to be the guy? And is he going to develop into something special under Billy Napier? Guy's shown real flashes of athleticism. But last year he was playing behind an Emory Jones, who was an absolutely terrible quarterback. And that's the question I have against Florida. Why was this guy playing behind a quarterback as horrible as Emory Jones when you're playing with a head coach in Dan Mullen, who was an offensive mind? I just don't get that. So maybe he's not as good as, you know, his highlight films look. I mean, we know he's athletic, but that doesn't always translate into being a great quarterback. I do think the team was talented last year. As I said, that defense is going to be solid, returning names like Brenton Cox, Trey Dean, who you've heard before, and Ventrell Miller at linebacker, who was injured most of last year. I think we lose this game. I think South Carolina loses on the road to Florida, because even if Florida's having kind of a rough season and we're rolling into this thing at 6-3, I still think that it's kind of the Gamecock thing to do. And South Carolina, while we've played competitively in the Swamp, at times when people didn't think we would play a competitive game, we've been kind of a little bit snake-bitten there. Kind of snake-bitten there ever since old Jarvis Moss reached up in 2006 and blocked that field goal. Been kind of some bad juju there. South Carolina did get Will Muschamp fired in 2014. Of course, we turned around and hired him about 15 months later, but well, we're not going to talk about that. I think South Carolina drops this game, and then we end up 6-4 after the game against Florida. We come home to take on Tennessee. If you've already watched our Tennessee preview video, you know where I'm going with this one. I think Tennessee will be coming into this one 7-3. probably ranked in the top 15 in the country. Make it 7-4 after they leave Columbia. South Carolina wins this game. Tennessee's pass defense, rather, have not been good. They've not been really good at stopping the run either. South Carolina was not able to really fully exploit that last year because we were playing from behind the entire game. I think things were rushed. The offensive game plan had all kind of, it just was, trashed as soon as the game started because we got behind so far early in that game. That's not going to happen this year. South Carolina and Tennessee have played close games traditionally. The series is 7-7 over the last 14 games, even though the Vols have won the past 3 games in this series. I think Tennessee's going to have an out-of-this-world offense this year. I'm not doubting that. But I think South Carolina's offense is going to have hit its stride by this point in time. Defense is going to be the thing that wins this ball game. I think that we're looking for a game that may be a little bit of a shootout. I think we're looking for an entertaining game against Tennessee. And this is going to be the last time in Williams-Brice Stadium for a lot of good players. It might be Cam Smith's last time on Williams-Brice Stadium. Definitely the seniors' last time. Probably going to be Spencer Rattler's last time in Williams-Brice Stadium. If he plays and lives up to his potential this year, he'll definitely be gone after the season and be headed for the NFL draft. So I think these guys are going to look to go out on a positive note in their last game in Columbia. I think that South Carolina gets pressure on Hendon Hooker this year, just like we did last year. We're capable of doing it. 6 sacks last year. This time, I think South Carolina makes them count. I think South Carolina's running game will be in full force by that time in the season as well, and will probably end up being the difference. Give me South Carolina to knock off Tennessee, and then we go to 7-4 on the season, headed into the last game of the regular season on the road at Clemson on Saturday after Thanksgiving. South Carolina has lost 7 straight games in this series, have dropped every one of them since 2014, skipped 2020 when South Carolina and Clemson did not play. And last year, a really, really embarrassing performance by South Carolina at home. 30-0 loss to Clemson, in which they like to crow, it was our worst team in however many years, and it was. I mean, there was no excuse for that. South Carolina, the game plan was not there. The execution was not there, and Clemson just wanted it more, and they went out there, and they absolutely bitch-slapped us around, and there's really no way for me to sugarcoat that. Really embarrassing as a Gamecock fan. To be watching that game. I almost murdered my Christmas tree there during that one, and there was not enough beer in the world to drown my sorrows. This year, does South Carolina go up there and get a win? You've got people actually predicting this. Clemson will be better offensively in 2022. They had really had some... I don't know what was going on the first third of the season there. Almost the first half of the season with DJ Uiagalelei. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. They kind of just abandoned the passing game altogether there. The second half of the season decided to start running the ball with Will Shipley and Kobe Pace. And it started to do a little bit better for them. I don't know if DJ will be the starting quarterback by the time South Carolina plays Clemson. I'm saying not. I don't think that this guy is a really good college quarterback. And I'm thinking that the freshman Cade Klubnik is probably going to end up taking his position at some point during the season. Much like Trevor Lawrence did with Kelly Bryant in 2018. And, the defense, Clemson defensively is really, really good. If they don't have the top defense in the country, I mean, tell me who does. I mean, their front four is just absolutely insane. I think South Carolina plays much better in this game than they did last year. I think we play much better than we did offensively. The problem is, that defense. I mean, that defense is not going to break. I think South Carolina moves the ball much better this year than they did last, but I think they're going to bog down in the red zone a little bit, and they're not going to be able to punch the ball in for 7. They're going to be kicking field goals. And while I think they're going to be able to stop Clemson's offense, I don't think they're going to be able to stop it enough because, once again, South Carolina's offense, while not anemic, and I think will sustain some drives in this game, I still think we're not going to get in the end zone. We're going to be playing from behind much of the night. South Carolina played well offensively the last time we went to Death Valley, but that's been several years ago. And there have been times that South Carolina has played much better in Death Valley than you would think that they would against a really good Clemson team. Forget the year 2016 when I'm talking about that one, but in the past, generally speaking, they have. I don't think we come out on the right side of the scoreboard in this one. And I'm saying we lose this game 30, same number of points as last year. I'm saying we lose this one 30-13. 30-13. I'm thinking South Carolina makes a couple of trips inside the red zone, ends up kicking field goals. I think maybe we miss a field goal. I'm thinking maybe we get inside the red zone and turn the ball over. I just don't see South Carolina being able to take a victory over this team, not with the defense that they're going to have coming back. So, there we go. That puts us with a record of 7-5 on the regular season. And I think a much better team than what we saw in 2021. However, record-wise, it's not going to be a whole lot better. Not going to be a whole lot better. We can go to a bowl game here and get an 8th win. That would be really nice. If we go to a bowl game and lose it, we're going to end up with the same record as last year. But this team is going to be so much better. And things are definitely going to be going in a positive direction. I think Spencer Rattler, ends up turning the keys over to a sports car and not a Pinto. To the next quarterback who takes over for him, whoever that might be. So 7-5 on the regular season is what I'm saying. The Gamecocks go there. And congratulations to Mr. Semantics over in the YouTube comment section on the previous video. Mr. Semantics correctly predicted each game that Carolina Jackpot said that we would win. He correctly predicted all the losses. So he wins the contest for $50 of Carolina Jackpot's money. I will be PayPaling that to him, Mr. Semantics. If you would hit me up at Hall_Kale on Twitter. That's Hall_Kale on Twitter. I'll put it down below. Or you can just hit me up in the comment section here. Let me know your PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, and I'll send you your monies. Also, congratulations to Big Game Bowers. Big Game Bowers also correctly predicted all of those games. However, he was a few hours later with his comment than Mr. Semantics was. So Mr. Semantics will be the winner of the $50 there. So 7-5 on the regular season, guys, where the South Carolina Gamecocks are going to end up 2022 according to Carolina Jackpot. And that's about a wrap. That's a season, guys. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit it with a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, share this video somewhere. Share it to your friend by messenger. Share it in your other social media platforms, wherever you want to. I really would like to grow the Carolina Jackpot channel and grow the Carolina Jackpot brand this year. And the only way we're going to do that is by getting the content out to people who have not seen it before. I really appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later. Peace, and I'm out. Go Gamecocks and go Coach Beamer. Woo! Go Cox.